try this again.
It says we have no audio. Hi guys, somebody post a message if you can hear us.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know if we can be heard or not. I don't think we have any audio.
Oh, YouTube says we're live.
Okay.
Yay. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so we are live. All right.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
I don't know what
Facebook
happened.
just caught up. Sorry about that, guys. We have no idea what happened. We just suddenly lost everything. So it was trying to reconnect and simply wouldn't. So we don't know if the internet or the Wi-Fi service went down or not. We don't know what happened. So apologies. So we're going to continue. We're not even sure when it dropped us. So we might have to catch you up on a couple of things.
It's
so
said about 2 minutes ago when I saw the message. So.
Oh, okay. So we'll last about 2 minutes. All right. So if Renee is going to switch the camera back to the down shot.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm good to go.
You can move
We're just going to finish this out.
Move your phone out of the shot.
I'll move my phone out of the shot. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So unbeknownst to me, I was talking to myself. So we're just going to finish off this last little bit on the stencil detail. This one doesn't take long, but just do it quick. What I like about doing this type of a background is that it's very forgiving. So if you make boo-boos, if you mess things up, it's okay. It all sort of falls into the background anyhow. And the only person that will ever know that you actually made a mistake will be you. So keep it to yourself. Nobody else will notice, I can promise you. They're just going to go, ooh, it's perfect, it's wonderful. Yay. And your little boo-boo will not be that big a deal, promise. So we have fun little stitched background. I love this one. I love that stencil. It's just so fun. So the base color that I used was this one. It's Prussian blue. If you're looking for it, the color number is DA138. It's one of my favorite blues. I love that deep dark. But what really does it for me with Prussian blue is its transparency. So I'm going to use my fugly brush and I'm going to thin out a little bit of Prussian blue. Make it really watery. And I'm going to brush a coat of that thinned Prussian over top of all of my stenciling. Now you can distress this first. I did on my first one because I got a little heavy-handed with the color. I'm not doing it this time because I actually got it the way I wanted it the first time.
You're candy coating.
Uh-huh. I'm putting the candy on.
I like candies. Candies are awesome.
It's a glaze coat. So you can mix that paint with a little bit of water or you can mix it with a little bit of glaze. Either one's going to work. And I love how it subdues this. I love how it still stays nice bright blue, but it accentuates all those darker areas and that fun pattern in the background. So I'm going to dry this real quick and then I'm going to put one more coat on because I really want to bury it a little bit. I don't want this pattern to be the feature, but it does create a lot of that texture in the background. The other nice thing is those glazes dry real quick. Putting glaze coats on dries fast. So one of the girls posted a binder that she had found on Amazon with sleeves in it with 4 pockets in each sleeve. Well, 8 pockets in each sleeve. No, 4. For storing 6x6 stencils in. And so I ordered one. It should be here sometime today, but I'm anxious to see how it works with my M square stencils. I'm always looking for a new one.
The grandpuppy is mesmerized by Tracy's voice.
The grandpuppy. So I'm going to put one more layer of this Prussian blue over top of my knit stencil. I just love how this looks. And I've always found that if you put it on in thin layers, you get a better result in the end because you have control over it. I love this. So look at that. That nice subdued. So you still get that dark blue background, all the vibrancy of that blue background with some fun pattern back there. And then lots of variation, which that appeals to me a lot. And then we're going to float around the outside edge of this piece with a little bit of lamp black, just to deepen the edges a little.
There it goes.
I knocked over my black. Thank you. There. So that makes for such a nice background. It's soft, it's subtle. It just there's a subtlety to this that appeals. So I'm going to use a 1/2 inch angled shader for this next step. And I'm going to put a float of lamp black around the outside edge. Now, if you find that the black is a little too strong, try mixing a little of the Prussian with it. I like the subtleness of this. Just gives you a nice little dark shadow at the outside edge. But it doesn't come off like a hard line. If it does, then it's too much. And you can round out some corners, soften corners with it. Just like so. Just keep the darkest value to the outside edge. And a nice soft float. You can blend this back and forth till you get where you want to be. Remember, you're on a dark background, it's going to be very forgiving. Here we go. So once this is completely dry, you are ready to trace and transfer your line drawing on. So you've got lights, you've got darks, you've got lots of fun pattern in there. And it's an ideal background for this kind of thing. It fills up space really nicely, which is one of the things that we forget when we're putting things on, putting a design on something. We often forget that you have to have something to ground whatever you're painting. So even though it might be something simple, as in this case, we've just got that little bowl with the cookies and the cookie cutter and the candy, nothing over the top. If I just had it by itself in the middle of a blue surface, it would just look like it's floating there. So we needed to ground it a little bit. And that's one of the reasons I like using pattern in a background, is because it's going to bring that design a little more life and it helps ground the initial design. So I have mine transferred on.
The magic of television.
So I'm going to grab a little bit of warm white. Now, I have put down a base of warm white on all of the design elements except for the cookie cutter, primarily because the color I'm using for the cookie cutter is very opaque anyway. So I didn't really see the need to put the white on it. So I'm going to grab my warm white. And the first thing I'm going to do is give a little bit of a tabletop to this. And it's going to be pretty simple. So I'm going to thin out a little bit of warm white, heavily thin it out. And I'm going to put a little float of the warm white back here along that tabletop. Right there. There's that little horizon line. And it's a sloppy float. It's not neat, not tidy. It's not perfect. It's going to be very watery. And I'm just going to soften it a little with my mop. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And again, neatness doesn't count for this. It's a watery, sloppy float. And all it's going to do really is just create a tabletop. So I'm going to soften that a little. There we go. So now we have a tabletop, but it's not a harsh line. And that's all there is to it. It's just that. So it creates something that grounds this, as subtle as it may be, but it grounds it, creates a surface for which this has to sit. So we're going to start with this candy cane back here. I'm going to use a round brush. The one I'm using is a Dynasty Black Gold. It's a number 5. You can do this with either a round or a small filbert, whatever you're most comfortable with. And we're going to put a fairly opaque coat of warm white on that candy. What's up?
That is very white.
It is very white. It's warm white. We've had a lot going on in this house in this past couple of weeks. Renovated a bathroom and it turned out very nice. I'm very pleased.
Apparently there's a patent on toilet paper.
Yeah. Toilet paper, yes, the roll. I was looking for something to decorate the newly renovated bathroom. And it has, I don't know how to put it, kind of an industrial farmhouse type look to it. We have a nice bright white porcelain sink in there, and so I put matte black taps and hardware and everything on it. Same with the cabinetry. It's sort of a country white cabinetry, so we put black matte knobs on. And I framed up 2 prints from U.S. Patent Office, one for a tap and one for a roll of toilet paper. But they were like black and white prints, so I spent a little time making them look like they were old. Because that's what I do.
It's untarnished.
So I had some fun with it. It was just gave the paper like a bath and some thin dish Fulton and put some coffee rings on it and matted and framed them and hung them in the bathroom. They look really nice. My husband thought it was funny. And at least it's not feminine. You know, it's not all flowers and whatnot in there.
It's a guest bathroom.
It's a water closet. So, yeah, I wanted it to look very clean, and I made new curtains to put up. So everything sort of has that, simple farmhouse vibe, which I like. So I've got the white on my cookies. Now, I didn't use red for my berries and my candy cane, I used this. It was watermelon slice. It's actually a really great color for Christmas stuff. It's surprisingly, it's not an in-your-face red, and it's quite opaque, so it actually works really well for this.
Do you use your paintings to decorate your home?
I do.
Yes.
Most of the artwork in my home is mine, with a few exceptions. I have some watercolors that are by different artists, but for the most part, yeah, it's mostly mine.
Her studio is filled.
Yeah, my studio is full, but the house is too.
Yeah.
I have my colored pencil pieces all over the place. They're, upstairs, and some of my acrylic pieces. The bigger ones are in the living room and family room. And... Yep, I decorate my home with my own art. Why not? I paint what I love, so.
And she could change it on a whim.
And I can change it whenever I feel like it.
Yep.
So I'm using a rigger, and I'm going to paint in the stripes on my candy cane with the watermelon slice.
She used the G word.
The what?
The G word.
What G word?
Ginger.
Ginger. Speaking of gingers.
Gingers are my favorite Christmas design.
We call them bobs.
We call them bobs. Ginger is our word.
So I'm just winging it with these. I didn't draw them back in. Normally I would, but I'm not today. I'm living on the edge today. Somewhat. So that watermelon slice actually covers beautifully. Like really beautifully. It's nice and opaque.
When Keith and I first were together, he said you weren't going to put that all over the walls, are you?
Yes, I am.
That's where it goes.
I put my own stuff up because I can usually create whatever I want to decorate with. And then there's pieces that I'm particularly proud of, and I have those framed and matted, and I put those up. Like my owls and some of my still life pieces. Now I'm using a rigger to put my stripes in because I can, and it works really, really well.
Is your pen and ink tiger still up?
No, I haven't seen that one in a long time.
Where is it? I thought for sure it was still hanging on the wall.
Nope. That one hasn't been up in a long time. And some of my birds have gone to family members. Blue jays went to Diane, and my sister has the other pieces, kingfishers and whatnot.
15 years later, he's over it.
Yeah. Chuck just looks at it and says, "Where do you want me to hang it?"
Where's it going?
Yep.
Oh, she's done an owl.
I've done several.
She's done several owls. Owls.
Owls. I love owls.
We get.
I wasn't in love with the one that scared me the other day, though.
Oh, the one that likes to sit on top of the stop sign?
Well, he doesn't move until you're right up against, like right next to the sign. And that's when he decides to let you know he's there.
Yeah.
And
he does it very... Hello.
Yeah, just kind of throws you off a little bit.
Yeah. I took Dot for a walk one time, and he was sitting on top of the stop sign, and Dot's just like, "What is that? What is that? I'm like, what are you staring at?" And I'm like, look, oh, hi.
Well, one, he's a big fella.
Yeah, he's huge,
Yeah, it's a big gray owl. He sits
but he
up.
obviously does not care.
Oh, he doesn't seem to be too bothered by humans, that's
No.
for sure. He just sits on top of the stop sign. Although the one that blew me away was after a snowstorm here, and I thought it was a rather unusual collection of snow on top of the light post.
No.
And it turned out it wasn't snow, it was a snow owl.
Ah.
That one kind of threw me. And we get those little, what do they call those? Little wood owls, the ones that looks like they can literally unscrew their head. They're kind of freaky.
Oh, the ground elves.
The ground owls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get those here too.
Yeah.
Will this still be a full video on YouTube? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it will be.
It sure will. Now, the reason that I put that little bit of warm white down before I paint is so that I'm not having to put 6 coats of paint over top to hide that blue. And for the most part, I can do this in one coat. So I've got 1 coat of white over top of that initial coat and 1 coat of the watermelon slice. And now I'm going to do 1 coat of antique green or lush green, either one, over top of that white. And I do that white so that you're not competing against that blue. There's nothing worse than trying to paint something and then having to base coat it 10, 12 times before you get what you want.
Did you major in art in college?
I didn't do art school in the in the usual way.
No.
No, I did what my father frequently referred to as the bohemian thing.
Yeah.
I studied art at various art schools throughout Europe. So I traveled around Europe for a number of years.
Everything
Studying.
from Italy to France, Germany.
Yep.
Didn't you study in Spain as well?
No, Spain was the one place I did not go to study. I did a little bit in the Middle East. So yes, went to England.
Kinda?
Kinda.
Would be the answer to that question.
Kinda, yes.
Kinda.
Yeah, kinda.
The bohemian way.
My father used to introduce it. My sister was the academic. She was studying medicine, and he would introduce her as the future doctor. I was always referred to me as having done the bohemian thing. But yes, I have a classical education in the arts, so I've learned how to make paint. I've learned how to mix pigments. I've learned how to create stretch canvas. I've learned a great many things.
Not really in the academic way either. It was more of a hands-on.
Well, which is what the arts are, but I did have to do an art history program, so it was an arts program, but not in the traditional university or college sense. Okay, I think I've got all my greens in. Now, I wanted to get all of these little bits done first because I want to do this one last.
You're not streaming on YouTube. What? What is with YouTube today? No, we're there.
Yep.
We're still on YouTube. It says we're live.
Yep. So I used honey brown for the cookie and then realized that I was out of honey brown. So I went to get another bottle out of my paint cabinet and oops. So I'm using a little bit of raw sienna and it's very transparent. So imagine if that color went over that dark blue, I'd be here till next Christmas trying to get it fully opaque. So I'm going to dry this real quick.
Sheila Landry, I'm half Bohemian. So I come by it naturally. My grandparents were from the Czech Republic.
Oh, cool. I was really fortunate. My father was stationed in Europe while I was in high school. And so I had a number of art. I did an arts program at the school that I went to. And I was doing a lot of university level courses and whatnot through that program. And then just to add to that, I registered for and was accepted to do some other programs throughout Europe. So I spent a lot of time in Italy. I spent some time in Paris. I went to a variety of different places and would have to put in a certain amount of class time and whatnot in each of those programs. And so I was fortunate that I had a rather broad education when it came to the arts. And a rather practical education when it came to the arts. So it left me with a lot of information. One of my favorite parts of the program was the art history. It was extraordinary. And then having the ability to travel to all of these places that you were talking about in these art history classes was just made it that much better, made it come to life. And of course, there's always elements in any arts program that you're not particularly fond of. And part of those arts programs also included things like theater, makeup, acting,
Pottery.
pottery. Yeah, I was never a big fan of pottery. Sculpture, also not my forte. No, but painting, screen printing, lithograph carving, those things appealed. The textile arts, not so much. I have a tendency to sew myself to whatever I'm sewing. I have a sewing machine. I do use it from time to time, but I don't get too adventurous, let's put it that way. So I have a lot of admiration for people who work with metals that make jewelry, work in silversmithing and goldsmithing. Yeah. One of my most extraordinary experiences when it came to learning art was the opportunity to go to Murano. And to the glass plants there was just jaw-dropping to watch the artists at work there. Yeah. It was incredible.
Glass blowing is...
It goes beyond just glass blowing. They literally can manipulate a molten liquid to do whatever they want. It's phenomenal. It's an extraordinary talent to work with that medium.
Oh, we got a question about... That's not a touchscreen, Renee.
It's funny because I've done that. I poked my
that one is a touchscreen.
That one is, and I poked my computer screen the other day.
That one is a touchscreen.
The iMac isn't.
The iMac isn't, no.
Yeah.
There's a question about where to get deco art paints in Canada. Michael's is low.
Yes,
has a low inventory.
Michael's only carries the top 100 colors that you're going to find in any deco art lineup. So here is my suggestion. Stockade.ca.
That's one.
Is based in Guelph. They ship all over the country. Their service is fantastic. They carry a full line of deco art Americana. So if you're looking for any of the colors, they carry the full line. Another resource, if you're in Western Canada, is Delta Arts and Crafts. They also carry a full line of deco art Americana.
And they're a brick and mortar store, too.
And they're fantastic. I have nothing but good things to say about both of those companies. I've dealt with both of them. I dealt with both of them during the height of the pandemic, and I was never disappointed in the service that I got or any of the products that I bought. So those are my suggestions. We also have Country Bear,
Yep.
which is also a decor art distributor. They're based in Sherbrooke, Quebec. So if you're looking for great service, that's a good place to start. It is difficult in Canada to find a lot of these products that are so readily available in the US, but it is difficult even in the US right now to find product. So those are my suggestions, but I can't emphasize enough the service, what great service we get from Stockade.ca. I'm a regular. I buy from them at least once a month. I'm ordering all sorts of product from them. They're a great company. So I'm just putting a little bit of warm white on my bowl. And again, I'm not too worried because I want this bowl to have a sort of a distressed look. I'm not too concerned about whether or not it is perfect. As long as it's straight and reasonably well base coated. And because you're working over that dark blue, it's very hard to cover. So it's going to take a little bit of work to get it there, but that's okay. And I try to follow the shape of whatever it is I'm painting. So if the bowl has that round shape, then the strokes that I use to base coat it follow that shape. And it just makes things so much simpler.
Hi, from North Texas.
North Texas.
North Texas.
I'm not up on my Texas geography, so I'm not sure.
The north part.
I understand the north thing. The north part I got. I'm just trying to think which places are in the north of Texas. And I'm not sure if Dallas-Fort Worth falls into that or not. I know Houston doesn't.
No, I don't think they fall in the north category either.
It's Texas. Not any of it really falls under the north category.
But I'm from northern Texas. You're from the south.
Still south.
Still south.
So I'm going to give this a good dry.
Oh, she is north of Dallas.
Okay.
About 60 miles.
Oh, wow. Texas is a great state. Some of the best people I have ever met are Texans. Some of the craziest people I've ever met are Texans.
But the crazies are the best people.
That's true. Kind of like the Maritimes.
Yep.
Yep. Nutty as fruitcakes.
Really? Dallas and Fort Worth is considered North Texas?
Really? Well, North Texas.
I live in Denton. North of Fort Worth. Oh, you are
Okay.
north.
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 North. Okay, I think I've got just about enough color on here. I'm going to just quickly put another coat on my cookie. We are doing burgers on the grill tonight. Cajun style burgers.
See, Dallas and Fort Worth is North Texas. But Amarillo is North Texas.
Amarillo?
Yeah,
Really?
it's the most northern city.
Amarillo.
But Perryton is the most northern town.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry. Booker.
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 Okay.
It's like the equivalent of Crow's Mills.
Okay. Wide spot in the highway.
Wide spot in the highway, has one gas station.
We don't have a gas station in Crow's Mills.
Well,
We don't even have a
well,
post
they have a gas
office.
station and a diner, so.
Yeah, we don't.
Brooker grocery store, cafe, and catering.
Kind of like the Fredericton Airport Hair Care and Tire Center.
Yes, ma'am.
Can't really say that anymore. We have a beautiful new airport.
I haven't been in it in a
It's
few years.
beautiful. Well, just at the beginning of the pandemic, just before the world shut down, our little airport had started undergoing some much needed and long overdue renovations. And I used to jokingly refer to it as the Fredericton Airport Hair Care and Tire Center because the first time I boarded a flight out of Fredericton Airport, I stopped and asked the gentleman pushing the broom in the entryway where the check-in desk for Air Canada was. And he said, "I'll be with you in a minute." And he put the broom down and walked over and checked me in. Small airport.
Small airport.
Yeah. But now,
It is an international
and
airport.
it is an international airport. That's what's kind of freaky about it. But now it is a spacious, beautifully well-lit, modernized little airport
that gets 5 flights a day.
that gets 5 flights. Well, actually it gets more than that now.
Oh, no?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because now we get Porter in and out of the, what do they call that? It's a small commuter airline out of Toronto. The Island Airport in downtown, Billy Bishop Airport.
oh, cool.
So, and it gets 3 flights a day. So it's a pretty busy little airport now.
Well, before landing in the Fredericton airport, the last time I was in an
Yeah.
airport, I was working Spade
Oh, yeah.
in the Winnipeg International in the cargo district.
Yeah.
That is a confusing place.
Uh-huh.
Welcome to the cargo area. Okay.
Kind of makes you wonder how you get anything in and out of there.
No
right?
kidding. Largest transportation hub in the continent.
Yeah. Yeah. It's considering you know, that you would think-
Everything that comes into Canada
Yeah.
has to go through that airport.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So
Everything. Not everyone, everything.
everything.
Yeah.
And I was working Spade at the time. And that was my first encounter with CBSA going, "We don't have a canine unit, so that's why you're here."
Yeah. Okay.
But
So we're going to start with that candy cane in the back, and we're going to shade the back side of those candies. So it'd be we're shading the right-hand side of those candy canes with a float of that background color. So I'm using a little bit of Prussian blue, and I've thinned it out, and we're going to put that blue over the white and over that watermelon slice, over top of that red. And we're going to separate these two right here with a float of the same. And I'm going to dry that real quick.
ooh,
What?
Ralph planted our garden. Tomatoes, okra, corn, and cucumbers. You got everything you need to make a good gumbo.
How long has it been since I made gumbo? A couple weeks.
Couple weeks, yeah.
Have to make some again soon.
I would love fresh okra if we could only get it up here.
Yeah, it's not that easy. So I'm going to deepen that Prussian blue with a little float of thin asphaltum.
Will it not grow up here?
I don't know. It's not a...
Or is it a greenhouse?
I don't know.
Plant.
I have no idea. I don't know what it's zoned for. I just dropped my paint bottle into a puddle of Bahama blue.
Awesome.
Mess. And it was the asphaltum.
Oh.
I dropped the whole bottle, so I can't pick it up anymore. So a little float of that asphaltum over top of that blue gives us a nice deep shadow.
I ain't seeing Facebook people's. Just refreshing the chat here. I want to see. Oh, there's all the Facebook people. Holy.
So I'm going to. I wasn't too happy with my Prussian blue. It wasn't quite dark enough to suit me. So I'm just going to put another little float over top just to deepen it. Okay, now I'm happy.
How do you eat okra? Fried. Fried or in gumbo?
I have to buy it flash frozen because it's not an easy thing to find here.
Yeah.
And it's not something that we see often. So I'm going to put a float of warm white just in from the edge, like so, on the left side of our candy cane. Just like that. Now I come in from the edge because this is a curved item, so this way that light impact point implies that it's curved. And try to keep it straight, otherwise you end up with a wonky looking candy cane. And then we're going to take that liner brush, because I like doing this. I like to see something finished. So I'm going to thin out a little bit of warm white. And I'm coming in from the edge of the float. So there I came in from the edge of the candy cane. And then I put the float down, and I'm going to do the same thing with the warm white. I'm going to come in from the edge of the float, and I'm going to put a line of the warm white, like so. And this essentially is your light impact point. I don't want to put it right on the edge because then it just looks like a hard line. But by having it come in from the edge slightly, it implies that there's a curve. So we have candy cane. So our next step is to work on this little guy, because I like working from the back of the design forward. So we're going to work on our little candy cane, or our cookie. So we need to add a little bit of shading to our cookie. And I'm going to do that with a little bit of thin asphaltum. So we're going to shade around our cookie cutter, like so, and along the top of that bowl, just like that. A little bit on the side of the head and on the arm. And I'm going to dry that. And then I'm going to show you a way to cheat to put the eyeballs on so that you're not struggling to get perfect eyeballs. Now, I do shading and everything in layers. I like to take my time and put them on in layers. And so that's how I do it. So there's that little shading. So each time I put a layer on, the cookie gets a little bit darker towards the base. So he looks like he's tucked inside that bowl. So I usually will repeat this 2 or 3 times. I've got 2 on there right now. I'm thinking I'm going to put a third, just to get everything nice and dark down, particularly down here. So if you put things on in thin layers, it gives you a lot more control. Look at that. And I think I'm happy with that. So I'm using one of Chris Hoy's little painter tools. I really love these little things. I think these are fantastic. I have the Shape Makers set of 3. She has these little tools here, and I have a full set of these. They're absolutely fantastic. They're very versatile because you can use them for so many different things. So I'm going to put his buttons on, and I'm going to have one button so that it comes down behind it. I'm just going to gauge where, about the halfway mark. And I'm going to grab a little stencil brush and a little bit of lamp black. And I'm just going to lightly stencil a button in, just using that little shape maker. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of space, about 1/8 of an inch or so, and I'm going to put another one. Like 3. I like that 1/8 of an inch. It just seems to be the ideal size. Et voila. So we have 3 buttons in. Now for his eyes, I'm going to go to a smaller one, just a little, and a little bit of lamp black for that. And then I'm going to move it over, make sure it's dry so I don't smear black paint everywhere. So I'm just going to move it over about 1/8 of an inch or so, maybe 1/4 of an inch. I want about 1/4 of an inch from the edge of the cookie. Et voila. So now I have black eyes. These are so handy for little things like that. Of course, if you have the line drawings traced on, you can just simply use this to line it up. And so I have cookies. I'm going to use a 3/8 angled shader. We're going to put a shadow of asphaltum on the right side under the eye, right here. I want a little shadow on, just like that, little C-shaped float. And I'm going to do the same thing to the buttons. I kind of like, oops. Good gravy. There we are. I like that little shadow on one side of the eyeballs. It just gives it a little elevation for when we do this. So I'm going to use that same angled shader, and I'm going to thin out a little bit of warm white. And I'm going to put a C-shaped float. Of course, it needs actual paint. There we go. I'm going to put a little C-shaped float I keep thinning it out too much. There we go. So a little C-shaped float on the left side of the cookie, on the left side of each of those balls. But I come in just a little sliver from the edge.
Oh, we got a barrage of questions.
Okay.
Where's the shape maker from?
There's 2 different types. I have one on my website. They're called Shape Makers, and it's a set of 3 stencils with all the varying sizes of circles and triangles, checks, etc. And these ones are from CD Wood. So you can go to cdstencils.com or cdwood.com. These are Chris Hoy's. She has a variety of them. Some of them have snowflakes. Some of them have little candies. They're just a really handy little painter's tool. So,
and yes, the Heat It tool is that quiet.
Yes, it really is. I absolutely love my Heat It tool.
You can get them on Amazon, or Sandy McTier's got them on her website.
Yep. So we have eyeballs. So now I'm going to put a little highlight on my...
Should have made them white.
I should have made them white. Yeah, no. So I'm going to use either a little bit of thinned warm white. I've got a little bit of almondine here. Been kind of obsessed with this color of late. You can use a little light buttermilk. We just want to put a soft highlight on the left edge of the cookie. Just like so. It's not a strong highlight. It's just a little bit in a few little spots. Just makes him stand out a little bit.
Looks like a lot of people are having issues on YouTube.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we're going to use a little bit of thinned warm white. We're going to put some frosting on our cookie because we can. So I'm going to thin out a little bit of warm white. And I'm using a rigger. We're just going to put a little S-shaped stroke like this on each arm. Like so. Now, I usually put just a couple of little comma strokes right here. Just so he has hair.
Little widow's peak.
Yep.
Oh, sold out on Sandy's.
Oh, right on. I think CD Wood may have them too. Cupboard Distributing might have them. So once that icing is dry, you're going to take a little bit of asphaltum and we're going to float a little shadow right up against that icing with a little bit of thin asphaltum. And I like to put a little shadow there too. Just gives the icing a little bit of dimension. And then we're going to give this cookie a little more shape. There's a little line here on the side of the cookie. I'm going to use a rigger to put this in. I've got a little line there. And then on the side of the head,
Macy Ramos. Says hi.
hi. I like this little bit of shading on this side, and it's just a little line of it. It's nothing major, but it just gives this cookie a little more dimension, a little more shape.
Slightly burnt.
And he's a little toasty. Toasty's good. I made chocolate and peanut butter cake last night because I felt like it.
Random cake.
9:00 at night, I felt like baking. I don't know.
No one
argues.
No one argues.
Nobody even says, "What are you doing and why?" She's making cake. Leave her alone.
Yeah, just let her go.
Yep. So I'm going to add a highlight to these eyeballs. I'm just going to use a liner and a little dot, because the minute you do this, and that highlight goes on the upper left of each of those dots, on the edge of that little circular highlight that you put in, it just makes the buttons come to life. And then it makes the eyeballs come to life. And if the eyes are white, it's kind of creepy. So look how fun. Isn't he fun? I like the fact that you can use either a honey brown or a raw sienna, and he just looks like he's been in the oven a little bit longer. That's all.
What kind of paints are you using?
My favorite, Deco Art Americana. I love these.
They're acrylic based.
Just acrylic water-based paint. You can get them almost anywhere.
Acrylic water based.
Yep. Look how fun.
You must be new here.
New is good. So I'm going to, now we're going to start working on these leaves. My shading color for this holly.
Not the gumdrop buttons.
You get weirder by the day, you know that?
That's your chat, by the way.
You've enabled them.
Yes.
So to shade these little holly leaves, I keep these as simple as possible. We're using just a little bit of plantation pine. And it's just a little float plantation pine at the base of the leaf where it joins the stem. Nothing fancy. Nothing elaborate. And we've got this little one here that's tucked in underneath that cookie. It gets shaded in a couple places.
I got them both going on YouTube and Facebook.
Okay.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
Too many people have watched that movie.
The Muffin Man? The one who lives on Drury Lane?
So again, plantation pine at the base of the leaf. It's sort of a U-shaped float. Comme ça. At this point, I'm not too worried about all of the minutiae or the detail in these leaves. It'll sort of come. So a little float at the base of the leaf. Now what that little float does is it helps imply that there's a curve in the leaf. So I'm going to dry this real quick, and then we're going to add a center vein to these leaves. And I'm intentionally leaving our cookie cutter towards the end for a couple of reasons. One, I think it's an opportunity to do a little bit of work as far as perspective is concerned. So I've got nice little center veins on those ones. And a center vein on those. Now this little one down here is a little problematic because it's sitting underneath our cookie cutter. So you have to kind of wing it to get the arch that we need. But we got it. We're going to have some fun with this. I love painting holly leaves. They're pretty, but they need to be shiny. Holly leaves have that sort of waxy, polished look. So my highlight color for these is Margarita. I love this green. It's a little opaque. And we're going to highlight the top edges of these leaves, like so. Oh my gosh.
The Muffin Man!
We found a sound bite. So, highlight the leaves with a little bit of that thinned Margarita. Don't worry if it goes over that center vein, because we're going to deepen that. So, I like to take it up onto the edge like this, and then out to the point. and then highlight down the center vein. It gives the leaf nice highlight, and it also accentuates the shape a little. So there we go. Now for these little teeny tiny ones out here, I like just to take it out to the point. I don't worry too much about the overall shape because they're so small. So again, I just do the reverse of what I did with the base, the shadow. So on the center vein, don't forget to do the edges. This little one has to be done in 2 pieces because of where it is. So then we're going to come down to these 3 leaves down here.
What?
What?
I saw a $10 donation from somebody. Who was it? You don't get to donate $10 and run away freely.
Well, whoever it was, we appreciate it.
Rebecca Swing Wallace.
Rebecca, thank you.
Another $10 to the poppers.
So our local shelter took delivery of some new babies this week.
And a mom.
They our local shelter is participating in a program that brings dogs from other shelters that are having a hard time finding homes, and so they move them around the country. And so ours took delivery yesterday of a couple of husky pups and their mama.
All the way from Manitoba.
Yep, from up north, apparently.
Doesn't surprise me.
No. So, so it was quite nice to see that. So look at that. So remember what I said about not worrying about whether or not that highlight sort of drifts over onto that center vein or onto your shading? This is why. I take another float of my plantation pine, and this is where you get to clean up and deepen some of those shaded areas, and it pops those highlights. So it cleans up some of those areas where perhaps you got a little heavy-handed, or the brush got away from you, or or whatever. And it just gives you an opportunity to clean all of that up. And it's just a little float of thinned plantation pine. It's not a strong float, it's just enough, but it gives you nice depth in the center of those leaves. And it gives you nice crisp lines too. It's a great neutralizer. Cleans up all the little whoopsies. Love it. We have leaves. So we're going to come up here to these berries. So I've got a little bit of Prussian blue. Because I shaded the candy canes with Prussian blue, I'm going to do the same thing to the berries. I'm going to shade my berries with a little float of Prussian blue. Gives the berries a nice round feeling, gives them nice shape. And then just like we did for the eyeballs, we're going to use a little bit of thinned warm white. And we're going to come in from the edge just slightly. And put a highlight on our berry.
Another $10 donation from Cheryl D'Agostino.
Thank you, Cheryl.
For the puppets. And
That's
kitties.
autocorrect.
Yeah. From Grandpuppy Chunks.
Chunks.
Chunks. Should we start a cleanup fund for the glitter beard?
So that little highlight on the berries is just going to be a little dot of warm white. Just in from the edge on the... Look how fun. How fun. This one comes together so quickly. So I'm going to dry that so I'm not smearing.
Smearing?
Smearing, because, you know, it's me. I dropped my paint bottle and... Oh, that feels so good.
Peach cobbler.
Ooh.
Blackberry dumplings over ice cream?
Oh my gosh. Oh. Strawberry raspberry jam over ice cream. Oh. Sounded lip smacking good, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a color that I have been obsessed with, is a good word, because I just painted my bathroom this color. Cobblestone. I love this color. It's warm. It's still a gray, but it works really nicely with so many different things. So this cobblestone is now the color of the bathroom.
It kind of looks green on camera. Not gonna lie, like very...
It's an odd color. It's actually a warm gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
The bottle just looks kind of green.
Could just be the light. So cobblestone is the color that I painted this. The cookie cutter.
1 cup sugar, 1 egg, 1 cup peanut butter. Mix, make 1-inch balls, flatten, and bake at 350.
Oh yeah, quick and easy peanut butter cookies.
Peanut butter cookies. Yum.
Well, I made chocolate peanut butter cake, which means it's a double chocolate devil's food cake with peanut butter icing. That's what I made last night at 10 o'clock.
Oh. Artsy question.
Okay.
What helps you decide what to color to use as a shading color? Does the background color influence you?
Always. Oddly enough, my shading colors tend to be fairly neutral. As you can see, I tend to use asphaltum a lot, not just on brown. I use it on a variety of things. So I use asphaltum as a shading color a lot. Shading, toning color. On things like reds, depends on the red. So in this particular case, this watermelon slice is a cooler red. So I wanted to shade it with a blue because of the background. So it pulls that color around the piece. I don't often shade colors with a darker value of the same color. I tend to gravitate towards other colors. So when I'm shading reds, I tend to use blues, blacks, soft black. I very rarely use another red, although I will on occasion, but it depends on the red. If I'm working with something like this gray, I'm using asphaltum to shade this gray instead of using another value of the same gray. Simply because it depends on what I want it to look like. I want this to have a warmer vibe. These are all very cool colors, and so I want to keep it balanced. I'm using warmer colors for shading on the things like the metal, the cookie, and the bowl. So I'm using asphaltum. And I carry the color throughout. That way, everything melts together. But yes, that background often influences what colors I shade or highlight with, because it sets the tone. It sets the bulk of the temperature for this piece. All that cool blue. So I'm using cobblestone to base each of the segments of this cookie cutter. I love this color for a couple of reasons. One, very neutral. And two, it's very opaque. It covers beautifully. And even covers this dark blue really, really well.
That's It's two flavors I didn't think would go together, but sounds delicious.
What's that?
Cream cheese pumpkin pie
Oh, yes.
with a crumbled topping.
You've never had pumpkin cheesecake?
No.
Oh,
That's.
I know.
I'm not a fan of pumpkin
I know.
pie.
I'm not either. But pumpkin cheesecake is to die for.
Is it?
See, I don't care for pumpkin pie at all.
It's too much allspice.
I don't know what it is. There's something about the texture. Again, for me, it's mainly texture. But I will say this. Pumpkin cheesecake, on the other hand, I will, sell my firstborn for. Just saying.
Well, I'm valued at one pumpkin cheesecake. Nice to know my value.
Well, at least it's not booze or something.
Yeah. One high-end vodka.
Yeah, you're priceless.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Irreplaceable.
You are.
One of a kind.
Yeah, unless there's pumpkin.
Unless there's pumpkin cheesecake, apparently.
So I'm taking that cobblestone. Yeah, okay. Well, for a second there, I dipped into the wrong color.
Oh, I'm with you on the sweet potato pie. I'm sold on sweet potato pie.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I love sweet potato pie.
You are your father's son.
Mm-hmm.
Pie.
Pie. Does it come in pie form?
Yep. If it does, you'll eat it.
We should make a Brussels sprout pie.
That will never happen.
Finally get that man to eat a Brussels sprout.
No. Nope. He will never eat a Brussels sprout.
Renee, one trip to Costco and you're done. Our Costco, I don't think, has pumpkin cheesecake. It's not something that you see up here.
I've had just the best pumpkin cheesecake at Isaac's Way.
Well, that's expected. That's
It's a restaurant.
as high end as,
It's as close to fine dining as we get around here, and it's
Yeah.
fabulous. Isaac's Way is excellent.
Yeah, it is good food.
And right about now, they're doing a lot of fiddleheads because it's that time of year.
How can you like sweet potato pie but not pumpkin pie?
Texture.
Texture.
Yeah, I don't care for the texture of pumpkin either. Not a huge fan. So I'm painting each segment of this so that it makes the rest of this process so much simpler. And I frequently do this, leave little tiny spaces between things so that it makes going through the other process so much simpler. And you're not fighting against anything. So I'm almost there. Just about got one more section to do. And by doing it this way, it also helps maintain that shape and the accuracy of it so that your perspective is maintained. Because if the perspective goes out, you're hooped. So,
yeah, Patrick, if you come to Canada or the States, we'll make sure you leave at least 5
10 pounds heavier.
kilos.
Kilos, yeah.
Kilos. 5 to 10 kilos heavier than when you arrived.
Come and visit us, Patrick. I'll make sure that you go home a little heftier than when you arrived.
Let alone walk out the door. It's true.
Yeah. So I'm going to dry this. And then we're going to put the edge of the cookie cutter on. I love the fact that this is not meticulous. I like this a lot. So I like doing all of those angles first and then coming back in with this because it gives me the opportunity to clean up some of these lines really nicely.
Oh, Darlene, easiest place to get a rigger brush would be the Brush Guys.
Yep.
And if you want a discount code, there's one in our description.
Yep.
It's just Tracy M.
Tracy M at thebrushguys.com. It'll give you a nice little discount off of their already discount prices. So again, I'm just doing this with a little bit of cobblestone. I love this color. It works really, really well.
She's from Ingleside, Ontario. Ingleside.
Yeah.
Trying to remember where that is.
The other place you can get riggers is dickblick.com if you're looking for riggers and the Brush Guys are out of stock. Dick Blick has them. There, we have a cookie cutter. Look at that. Now this is an easy one to shade and highlight. I'm going to dry this real quick. And
Yeah, the Canadian distributors are hard to find. Stockade, would they have?
Stockade carries black gold, but they don't carry faux squirrel.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you might be able to get a black gold rigger.
Yeah.
Not a faux squirrel.
There we go. I'm just cleaning up a couple little spots there. And that's it.
Ingleside is near Cornwall, about 1 hour south of Ottawa,
Yeah.
on the St. Lawrence.
You can check with Curry's.
Curry's?
Curry's.
No.
So we're going to start shading this cookie. And I'm using asphaltum. I use asphaltum for so many things.
What is Kentucky butter cake?
Oh, I've had that. It's yummy.
What is it?
It's cake.
It's cake.
It's cake. I've had that.
Elaborate. is there butter
I
in
don't
it?
know how it's made, but yeah, it is. It's yummy.
Is it?
Yes.
Mm.
So I'm just shading into the points.
Chocolate cheesecake with a sour cream topping
Oh,
and a chocolate crumb crust.
yum.
Yeah. You can throw me off on a cheesecake just by having a bad pie crust for cheesecake.
Yeah.
If it's not a golden graham.
Well, it's like your your lemon squares
Pineapple
or your
squares.
pineapple squares.
Yeah.
If that crust is not right, it's
not worth it.
it's not worth it. He's
You
very
gotta get that
particular.
graham cracker crust just right. It can't be too hard, can't be too soft.
He's kind of
It's
particular.
gotta have the right amount of sugar and butter in it. If it don't, I'm sorry, you got crappy cheesecake.
He's a little fussy.
I'm a little fussy when it comes to that specific thing.
So I'm just using like little floats of asphaltum in here. Doesn't have to be much, but it right away gives you a lot more dimension and shape. And now we're going to put a highlight on using a little bit of warm white. And see where these lines are? They're going to be softened up considerably because I'm going to put a little highlight right there. And right here. I never worry too much about those lines because they eventually get softened out anyhow.
I wish that I could get a piece of this done in the same amount of time. Practice. Practice, 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 practice.
Well, the other thing too is that for one of these, I have all of my prep done ahead of time.
Yeah.
So little highlight in a few places.
So add another 20 minutes.
Add another 20 minutes. Yeah. Shush. So I like that little float of warm white in there. It just gives the corners, the points, a little bit of a shine. And then I'm going to take my liner brush and the outside edge of this cookie cutter gets a thin line of white. Just like that. Oops. And that's essentially just a little light impact point, but it gives you an opportunity to hide any of those little lines. And you can clean up like little areas.
Yes, those are our three main topics. Dogs, food, and paint.
Dogs, food, and paint. Yes,
Yeah.
That's pretty much, that covers it. One, I love to cook almost as much as I love to paint. Almost. And we love dogs, and we love cats. Animals in general.
Yeah. All animals. Except spiders.
Yeah, we don't do spiders, and I have one in here that's like
Making a
ridiculous.
home?
If
It's
you
not
get-
one of those barn spiders.
It is, and if he gets any friggin' bigger, it's going to need its own zip code. And if it walks across my desk one more time, it's going to need a doctor.
In a funeral procession.
Yeah. Undertaker, that's what it's going to need. I don't do spiders. Spiders, no thank you.
Arachnus deathicus.
I'm sorry, but that's funny. So I just realized I missed a little spot.
Why would anybody mess with a traditional good old apple pie? I agree.
I agree. There's nothing better than just yum.
Warm apple pie, maybe.
Scoop of vanilla ice cream.
Scoop of vanilla ice cream.
Or a nice little slice of really old cheddar cheese.
Yeah, I heard that's really good.
Oh.
I'm skeptical on trying it.
Oh, I was too.
And
Till I
it-
had a really good piece of cheddar on top of a really good piece of apple pie, and oh my goodness. That
If it ain't
cheese.
broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
My favorite expression. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I have two baby horses. One was born on Mother's Day and the other was 4 days later.
Oh my goodness. Couple of foals. All knees and elbows.
They still scare me.
I love.
They scare me. I respect them. I know they're extremely intelligent animals.
Which is one of the reasons they scare people.
Yep.
So my bowl is getting a nice little edge of lamp black. Because I kind of want this bowl to look like, you know, the old enamelware. That's what I'm going for here. So nice little border of lamp black. Doesn't have to be too thick. There we go. It's only going to be about 1/8 of an inch wide. Now I'm going to dig out my big 1/2 inch angled shader. We're going to start shading our bowl. And adding some fun details to said bowl.
Not a fan of creme brulee because
Custard.
well, it's not just the custard. It's everybody's done their own version of creme brulee, and nobody can seem to keep it consistent.
I don't like cream. I catch a lot of flack for this, but I really don't like creme brulee. But I don't like custard. It just it hits the back of my throat, and it's like, nope.
This doesn't go in this way.
This is not going in. It might go in, but it's not going down. Let's put it that way. So I'm using a little bit of asphaltum, and I'm using a very watery float. It ain't pretty. You know what I mean? I want this bowl to have some sort of a vintagey feel. So I'm not looking for a perfect float.
There's only been one custardy dessert that I was skeptical of trying just because it was like a custard and the texture threw me off. Yeah. And then I tried it.
What's that?
Sticky pudding.
Ugh.
Oh, it's so good. It might
good. Flavor-wise, it might be, but it's a texture thing for me.
Yeah. But sticky pudding is really good.
So there, I'm just putting a little floats of asphaltum. Use my mop brush to soften out some of those edges, but it is not a perfect looking bowl. We don't want it to be. It's supposed to look a little rustic and a little distressed and a little...
You should put a chip in the edge.
Battered. It will be when I'm done with it. Well, not a chip, but...
A crack.
It's going to get some fun stuff. I'm going to grab my little...
Lucy Demet's taken off.
I got my little fugly brush. And I'm going to thin out a little bit of lamp black. And we're going to spatter this bowl, but we're going to get close to it. Because I want this to look like enamelware. So I'm going to spatter it with a little bit of thinned lamp black. And I got close so that I didn't get it everywhere. I got it in a few places, but it's okay. But I focused right in here on that bowl. I'm going to dry it. Oh my God, I got black paint everywhere.
Happens once in a while. They want to know about the tattoo.
Which one? Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose they didn't see the legs. Just the tattoo. It's actually a really easy one to explain. The tattoo represents autism. The peace sign in the middle represents tolerance and understanding. And the date underneath it is the day that my daughter was born. And my daughter is the one that designed the tattoo.
Boom.
Boom. And we all have it.
Yep.
My daughter, this is her first tattoo. My daughter has one. My husband has it. And Renee has his on his neck. But we all have that little puzzle piece. So what's next?
Lettering.
Well, no, we're going to finish off this bowl.
Oh.
So I'm going to I need a little dry brush. Where is my mezzaluna? There it is. I got a little mezzaluna here. I'm going to give this a little bit of a highlight with just a touch of either titanium white or warm white. It needs a highlight. So we're going to just dry brush a little here in the belly of the bowl. I'm not overly worried about getting it just perfect because it's a rustic bowl. So just a little dry brush, like so. Get a nice little highlight in the belly of this. How fun. So now we need to do the lettering. And this part is always fun for me. I love doing the lettering. I'm going to take a little bit of lamp black and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of Prussian blue just to make a really dark blue. And I'm going to float a little bit up against the inside of the letter like so, each letter, with a little bit of that darker blue. I'm not being too neat and tidy about it. I'm not being too meticulous with it because honestly it's not necessary. We're just creating a little shadow. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going to lift that lettering off the surface a little bit. And that little float is going to do that for us. All it does is create just a slight shadow back there to give this lettering a little bit of elevation. Doesn't have to be perfect. And it's not significant either, but you'll be surprised at how much it does.
The dark blue is Prussian blue.
Yes. Good old Prussian blue.
Yeah, the background is Prussian blue, and the knit stencil is done in
Bahama blue.
Bahama blue.
Yep. So I'm going to use a smaller rigger for this. I'm using a 0. And the reason I chose the 0 is because this is a tall and skinny lettering, I wanted a little more control. So I'm using a 0 rigger and a little bit of thinned warm white. Break out your Joe Sonias. Going to make your life a whole lot simpler. Just thin out my warm white a little bit. And if you tap your brush flat, you're going to have a lot more control because that thin chisel edge is going to be there for you. That little bit of Joe Sonia's just helps keep that paint moving nice and smooth. So all you have to do is press down, let the brush open up, fill the space. Just like that. Now, what I love about this particular style of lettering is that the imperfections actually work really nicely with it. So if your lettering is not absolutely perfect, if it's not fully opaque, it's okay. The most important thing about lettering when it comes to painting lettering is that it is vertically straight and horizontally straight. If it's got little odd, depending on the font style, of course, if it's got little odd wobbles and bobbles in it, most of the time, those you can get away with. Little imperfections are not a problem, but when it comes to lettering, because our eyes are and our brains are literally conditioned to look at things from left to right and top to bottom, if things are not vertically and horizontally straight, they'll drive us nuts. It's like a crooked painting in a room. It'll drive me absolutely out of my mind. And badly painted and crooked lettering on a painted piece is another one of those things that will drive me insane if they're not straight. Worse, because you can't really fix it once it's painted on there. You can't really do anything about it. I've seen beautifully rendered pieces, gorgeous florals, exquisite design, and then effectively ruined because the lettering distracts from everything else. The lettering should draw attention to the design. It should be part and parcel of the design. And so if it's crooked and it's not straight horizontally or vertically, it detracts. It takes away from the rest of the painting. And that's all anybody will ever see is that crooked lettering. So when it comes to putting lettering into a design, make sure that it's straight and level. You can get away with little errors, little paint's too thin, little things, small little detail type errors are fine. But if it's not straight, it'll come screaming out at you every time. And I like nicely painted lettering. And these are just fun. Fun, fun, fun. Christmas. The other thing you want to watch for in lettering is typos. Make sure that all your spelling is correct, because if you don't,
You end up with cushions that are misspelt.
yeah. Yeah. That wasn't me.
That was Amazon.
That was Amazon. I still think that was hilarious.
Can't remember what they say, but they're funny. Every
Well,
time I look at them, just,
they're made in China Christmas cushions, and some of the typos in them are absolutely hilarious.
and she didn't throw them away. She kept them.
Oh, no, I kept them because now they're conversation pieces. I think they're hysterical. They're so cute. I mean, they're so nicely rendered. The designs look really good. And then the typos in them are absolutely hilarious. I don't know about you, but I could sit and paint lettering for hours on end. I find it very relaxing. What is it with you and the Muffin Man today? He's got this video playing on his phone.
The Muffin Man.
The Muffin Man. Too funny.
The Ornament Fund is a continuation of the Glitter Fund. More money collected, add lights and ornaments. Yep. That's the
That's
gist of it.
essentially it. Yep. And I have to say, you guys have been incredibly supportive of this. We appreciate it. And I know our local shelter is going to appreciate getting that nice big check.
If it does hit 5,000, I will go down to the shelter and hand them the check with the glitter beard, ornaments, and lights.
And I'll be there with my phone, filming the whole thing. Just because I can. So I'm going to have a little bit of fun with this lettering. I mean, it's one thing to put lettering on. It's another thing to just put it white and leave it alone. I'm not going to do that because that would be boring. And I like that there's a little shadow there, so the lettering pops up and stands out a little bit, which is what we wanted. Look how fun this is. So Christmas sweets. So I'm going to make sure this is good and dry because I'm going to use a little bit of Prussian blue. No, I'm not. I'm not using Prussian blue. I'm going to use mermaid tail. Because I forgot about something. We have some greenery to put in here. So I'm using 3 colors. I'm using mermaid tail because I love mermaid tail. I'm using Laguna. And I'm using Bahama blue. And we're going to put a little bit of greenery in here. Because this is super easy. I love that mermaid tail. It's a great color. And it has sort of a festive vibe without being too, I don't know, didn't want to add yet another green. But I did want to bring some of that Bahama blue that's in the background. I wanted to bring that in.
Still got 6 months to go. Definitely a possibility.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a possibility.
So the greenery in here, I'm going to start out here. I'm just going to use a little stroke, like a teardrop, of mermaid tail, like so. We're just going to create a little pine bough. So little teardrop shapes like so. Don't have to be perfect. And they're all coming back towards these berries. So little strokes, nothing fancy. I am, however, going to put a little line down the middle so I can see what I'm doing. So, mermaid tail. I love this teal. It's just a gorgeous teal. So, kind of looks like a feather. Then I'm going to go to, with the dirty brush, pick up that Laguna. I love that color too. And I'm going to go between that first set of strokes with the Laguna. And again, it's on that dirty brush. We're just filling in space. I'm going to rinse my brush because I get a little heavy-handed. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of that Bahama blue. And we're going to overstroke over top of that with a little Bahama blue. So it just gradually fills in that space. And it gives you a nice little highlight at the same time. And if at any time you feel it needs a little floofing, you can go back in and add a little more of each of those values. So if you find that shape is getting a little lost, just go back in with some of the darker colors. And we have pine boughs.
Nope. I gotta go open the garage.
So we're going to start adding a few little details to this to finish this off. I'm going to take a little bit of that mermaid tail, that gorgeous teal color that we used for the pine boughs. We're going to use a little bit of that thinned. I'm going to thin it out a little bit, and I don't want it full strength. But it is nicely transparent. And so I can bring a little of that in over top of the lettering. And I'm only going about halfway. I don't want this color to be everywhere. So just a little, about halfway. The base of those letters. Just like that. And this way it carries this color around. And it works with everything that's already there. So it works with that Bahama blue in the background. It works with the teal in here. It works with the blues that are in the... Et voila. So we've got our liner brush, and I'm going to mix just a little bit of warm white with some of that margarita. Not to make it really light, but to make it just a touch more opaque. That's all. Because we're going to use that heavily thin. I'm going to throw a little bit of Joe Sonia's in it. We're going to make a stem here for our leaves. And all of our leaves get sort of this light scribbly outline with that margarita. It doesn't have to be right on the edge of the leaf. It can go off the leaf if you want it to. This is also where I like using it for these little curlicues. And the little stems on these smaller leaves. I like these little details. It just softens everything up really nicely. It defines things really nicely. So if something is not looking particularly well defined, by putting this very fine little line on it, it will give it some definition. It also punches up the highlights a little.
He survived.
Good. And then I'm going to, we need a nice little curlicue right here because we can. Et voila.
Oh, we got an $11 donation.
Nice.
I am going to butcher that name. Philomene?
Philomena I cannot pronounce it.
Nope.
Figueiredo. It's Portuguese. Philomena, she's a lovely, lovely lady.
We thank you for your donation.
And I'm always so jealous when her and her husband go off to Portugal for the winter.
And a $10 donation from Linda Sprouse.
Thank you, Linda. And thank you, Philomena. So, we have a little bit of cleanup work to do. If I can find my Factus black eraser. It's my favorite. So I'm going to make sure that everything is well dry, and then I'm going to erase some of the graphite. Because there is a little bit, and we don't like it. But I use this Factus black because I can get rid of that graphite, and it doesn't hurt the paint. Like my paint is not bothered by it.
And it doesn't shine it.
And it doesn't create any shiny spots or polished areas on my surface, which irritates the living daylights out of me. And this just, it works so well. So look at that. I go around my cookie, make all the graphite lines go away.
Should I shade the candy cane on the inside of the cookie cutter?
Yes, I did.
Boom.
So when I get rid of those graphite lines, right away everything is much cleaner. And the same with the lettering, because the lettering has some graphite showing. But if I go around and I clean all of that up, the lettering becomes cleaner and crisper and just in general looks so much better. And one of the reasons I chose this font, especially because with one coat of warm white, it almost looks like it was drawn on with chalk or with, a paint pen or something. It just has a slightly rustic feel to it, which I really like. Looks more hand-drawn too, which appeals. So I have graphite lines gone bye-bye because I don't like graphite lines. So I'm going to move some stuff out of the way because we got stencils. I love being able to use a variety of stencils to fill up negative space without making things heavy. And so I'm going to use I really got to clean some stencil brushes. I'm running out of stencil brushes.
Yeah. Well, it looks like your software is just lagging a little behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting notifications now from 7 minutes ago.
Okay.
So
I'm just going to put a few snowflakes in a few areas. And one of the reasons I chose these two stencils is because they have a variety of sizes in them. And I like being able to tuck, some smaller snowflakes in here and there. Little teeny tiny ones. They work really nicely. They fill up space without being bulky or heavy. And that appeals to me. So I'm going to tuck another one up here. See, this is why I like the little snowflakes. So I'm going to tuck a few more in here and there. I like this one. And don't be afraid to let some of the snowflakes overlap the design. It's not going to hurt. And don't be afraid to take them off the page either. To let the stencil come off the page. If everything fits perfectly within the confines of the surface, it tends to look like a little crowded. Or at least it gives the feeling of being a little crowded. If you let it go off the page, it just implies that the design continues elsewhere. So I switched to a different stencil because there's some really pretty stencils in here. Really pretty snowflakes. And you can put them wherever you want. I just don't necessarily want them to be fully opaque because then they look heavy. I like them when they're softer. This is a good one. Softer and imperfect. It's the imperfections that make things interesting. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. And I think, let's pull this one down here. I think this is such a pretty stencil. Maybe we'll do that one. Yeah, we'll do this one. And again, I like taking things off of the page. Just makes things a bit more interesting. There we go. Look how fun that is. So some are opaque, some are less so. And then I'm going to take a little bit of thinned warm white and my fugly brush. Maybe a clean fugly brush would be a better idea. That one had black paint in it. Gray snowflakes won't do.
Can driftwood be used in place of cobblestone?
Absolutely. Same tonal value. So I'm going to just spatter my surface a little bit with some warm white.
I have absolutely no problem being imperfect.
I'm firmly convinced that the imperfections in things is what gives them character. So I've spattered with a little bit of warm white. And then we're going to play with these. I just got a whole bunch of these. And I'm moderately obsessed with these. I think. Moderately. So much so. Hello. I have oodles and oodles of...
You got a few of them.
Of laser cut snowflakes because I love these. So these ones, I have both sizes of these available. These ones are 1 inch and the others are 3/4. And I really love how these look. So I'm going to put that on top of the bag it came in. And I'm going to grab a sponge dauber, because this is just the easiest way to do this. Sponge dauber. And I've got a little bit of warm white on my sponge dauber, and I'm going to choose 3 snowflakes for this one. So I'm going to just daub the snowflake with warm white. Just like that. I find it easier to do this if they're still in the frame they come in.
Robin Storm is the one with the puppy, right?
Yes. Gizmo.
Gizmo.
We have a Gizmo. And he could probably eat her Gizmo. Well, let's put it this way. It would take 4 of her Gizmo to make one of ours. So I've got a little bit of this. This is Starlight Varnish. This is a glitter varnish. There's all kinds of them. We have a variety of glitter varnishes that are really fun. I like this one for a couple of reasons. The glitter in it is very subtle. So I'm going to use the same dauber that I used to put the paint on. And I'm just going to add a little bit Starlight Varnish. And I use this one for a couple of reasons. One, the varnish is going to make these a little bit more rigid. And they're also going to act like glue because I'm going to sprinkle said snowflakes with a little bit of glamour dust.
Boo.
Because I'm obsessed with glitter. I love glitter. He does not love glitter, but I do. And then I can just tap. And I move that off to the side. So I've got my 3 snowflakes that I'm going to use. And I grab my favorite skizzers. And I need my Aleene's Clear Tacky. So I have to decide where I'm going to put my snowflakes. And I'm thinking that one is going to come down here. One is going to go over here. And one's going to go up there.
We got 3 gizmos. We have a boxer named Gizmo. And then Robin Storm's Gizmo. And then our Gizmo.
Yeah.
A boxer named Gizmo.
So, and this is the nice part about the way these come to you, is that you can just snip them out with a pair of scissors. And then that way, when you're going to paint the other ones, you can just work from there. And then I just use my favorite skizzers to cut them out. I'm going to trim that a little bit because it's a little long. I love sparkly. There we go. Look how pretty they are. So I'm going to take my Aleene's Tacky and I'm going to put a little daub up here. And I'm thinking a little daub right there. And where else? I don't know. We'll figure it out when I get the other 2 on. So then I just lay my snowflake right into that Aleene's Tacky. I love the extra dimension this gives. And I'm thinking the other one's going to go right here.
I have a problem with some of the little laser cut ornaments.
Yep.
I paint them, they look fine, but after a couple of months, the edges seem to bleed over and turn the white a yellow color on the edge.
Yes. Whether it's laser cut, it's usually the smoke from the laser that does that. So seal the edges with all-purpose sealer beforehand.
There you go.
Yep.
Unless you want yellow snow.
Nobody wants yellow snow. So there we go. I'm just going to pop that in there. I like how it overlaps the candy cane a little bit. So I have a fun way of finishing my edges because I don't like, just black edges. It's kind of boring. And I'm overdue to replace my gold paint pen. And I realized that the other day. I shook it and I got paint everywhere. So I use my gold paint pen to finish my edges, and I just set it on the edge like so. And if you hold it straight up and down, it'll finish the edge. But if you want a little bit of a gold line, just can't seem to keep it on the edge. There we go. Just move it slightly so that it overlaps the front. And then you can put a nice thin border all the way around your piece with a gold paint pen, and it kills two birds with one stone. It finishes your edges nicely, but also gives you a nice finish on the front. Just like that. And how much you change the angle will decide how much of a gold border you get.
I can't believe how much these French bulldogs bark.
So I'm going to dry this real quick.
I have an easy solution for barking.
Huh?
Don't give them any attention while they're barking. None whatsoever, regardless of what they're barking at. And when they're calm and quiet, that's when you give them tons of attention. Pet them, give them a treat.
Yeah.
But
love them up.
Love them up, and they will soon realize that I only get that kind of attention when I'm calm and quiet. They'll figure it out.
Yep.
Now, if there's a reason for the barking, that's a different story.
Yep.
If they're just barking for the heck of it, trying to get your attention.
So there we go. Our Christmas sweets.
Christmas sweet.
Complete with glitter.
Yeah.
They're so fun.
Boom. Ooh.
How can you not love a bob?
A bob.
A bob.
A bob.
So fun. And they're easy to do. I mean, these ones don't take any time at all. I actually like this one better. The one we did today.
I gotta move this.
It's a little softer, a little more ethereal. I like it better. And you know what? With a fun little blue and white ribbon, it'd be cute on your front door. Be super cute.
Or near the cookie jar.
Or hang, yeah, like you need a sign for the cookie jar. Not in this house. Everybody knows where it is.
Doesn't even need to be in a jar.
They never make it that far anyway.
Don't last long enough to be put into a jar.
So Renee is going to put all of your names into the wheel. You're done, I take it.
Yes.
Are you going to spin it anytime soon?
Well, you can.
Go for it.
You want me to spin it?
I do.
Okay. I need my Sharpie.
Yep. And your sticky notes.
And my sticky note. There we go.
So he can label your prizes. This week's giveaways, we've got a fun little art stuff bag for you. Filled it up with a bunch of little goodies, but there's also a really nice set of Dynasty black gold wave brushes in there for our winners, as well as some other little fun stuff that we like to toss in. And we have
First one.
3 of them to give away.
First person. Person. Waiting. Waiting. Carrie Lozana.
Right on, Gary Lozana. So as always, if your name is drawn during one of these lives, make sure that you go to the website at tracymoreau.net. Click on the little speech bubble in the lower right-hand corner of the homepage and send us a message with your shipping information, please. We will hang on to any prize packs for a period of 2 weeks before they go back into the bin for the next draw. So we can't mail them unless we know where to send them. So send us your shipping information, please.
Next. Who's this? Who's this? It's Mr. Patrick.
Awesome. Patrick Pennifuss, I know where you live, pal.
That's not ominous at all.
And he can share with Eddie. So next Saturday, we're doing a Father's Day piece. pattern will be available on Monday. I think you're going to love this one. It was, there's not often anything for dads. There's not often a lot of things for men in general when it comes to painting and general craft. But I thought we would do something for Father's Day, and because I broke my cow.
You broke the cow?
I broke the cow. So now I have to wait till I get another one. It's okay because I have to order some cows anyway.
Oh, the Highland cow.
The Highland cow.
You broke it?
I broke it. I dropped it and broke the horn off of it, and I couldn't fix it, so I threw it out.
No.
So I had to come up with something. So we are painting Gone Fishing next Saturday. I think you're going to have fun with it. Pattern will be up. We have the surfaces in, and they're also available from Southern Ridge Trading. So all the information will be up on Monday for that.
And last winner is Karen Wilson.
Right on. Karen Wilson. You know where she lives.
I do?
Yeah.
I do?
You've been there.
What? Been there?
Yeah. Didn't you have pizza and beer in a foxhole out there?
Oh, Petawawa.
No, not Petawawa. The other
Borden?
place. No. Where the ranges are. Meaford.
Oh, Meaford. Yeah, I've done some stupid stuff out in Meaford.
You and everybody else. So we have three winners today: Karen Wilson, Carrie Lozana, and
Patrick
Penifus. Those goodies will be going out to you first thing on Monday. Make sure that you send us your shipping information by using the little chat bot on the website. That will send us a message directly to me so that I'll be able to package up your goodies and get them out to you. Next Saturday, we are painting Gone Fishing. I think you're going to really like this one. It's a lot of fun, and it'll make a great Father's Day gift for the dad fellow or the fisherman in your life. So we're going to have some fun with that. It'll be different, something out of the ordinary. And what else? Members of my paid membership live group, your live class is this coming Wednesday, May 31st, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel. We will post a link via the community tab on YouTube as well as the Facebook group. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We are painting black and white. We're doing a white rose on a black background. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one and some really fun and interesting techniques as well. And we also have the drawing for your challenge. So your wonderful watercolor challenge. Don't forget to get those pictures up on the Facebook group. I can't wait to see what else you've done. So many people have done this one. I was so excited about it. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. Also have some new designs coming up, and we've got some new patterns coming up. And before I forget, we also posted 3 new designs on the free printable section in the members download section. So go and check those out. And what else? I think that's it.
Have a fun and safe Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
Don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive. And to everyone, thank you for joining us as you do every Saturday. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. We're almost at the 6,000 mark. Almost. I mean, we're so close. So close.
Give me a second. I think you surpassed it.
Did I? When I checked yesterday, we hadn't.
Oh, not quite.
Not quite. Yeah.
Not quite.
So yeah, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. We're here every Saturday from 12 noon Eastern Standard Time till whenever. And we paint something fun every weekend, even if it's not necessarily to your choice. We talk about a lot of different things. We have a lot of fun, and we have some great giveaways. So to all of you, thank you so much for joining us every Saturday as you do. And always remember, we love you, and please stay safe.
And pet your dog.
And pet your dog.